I really have to do something different with that music. Got to change that up. I just have to say one thing. People! Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Hey there. Welcome into the Ben Maynard program. Thanks for being here. That's my little Paul Stanley right there. People! So, anyhow, welcome in. Thanks again for being here. Before we get started, a little housekeeping to take care of. As you know, this program is available wherever you stream your podcasts. Just search the Ben Maynard program. There it is. You got it. Subscribe to it, okay? When you subscribe, you get notifications on every episode that publishes after that. Okay? So do me a favor and subscribe. But if you're watching on YouTube, thanks for doing so. And I just need a few things from you. First, you have to subscribe to the channel. Okay. Subscribe to the channel. Then hit the notification bell because again, you'll get notified every time that we put out a new episode. Give me a thumbs up. Thumbs ups, all the likes, those really, really help out. I guess it has something to do with the algorithms. And the more likes that I get on the videos, the more people that they reach. People, you know. Last but not least, and after you give me the like, of course, after you give me the thumbs up, then you have to leave a comment too. All right. But more important than the comments, and I love them all. I love them all, and I reply to them. More importantly than the comments, you got to give it a thumbs up. All right. Please just do that. And then after you do that, tell 10,000 of your family and friends. Okay. Just tell them. Tell them it's a really cool podcast with this knucklehead and, check it out. All right. Last but not least, follow me on Instagram, Ben Maynard Program, all one word. That's it. Okay. Simple. Plenty of ways to take in this show for your dancing and listening pleasure. All right. We have a good one. Have a good one tonight. And I know you're going to like it, especially for all you Kiss knuckleheads out there, just like me. All Kiss geeks. All right. We'll have something fun. So look, let's just kind of get right down to it. People! All right. I won't do that all episode. I promise. Okay. But I don't know if I'm on a Kiss thing or not. After having Tommy on the show, Tommy from Three Sides of the Coin a couple weeks ago. Let me reach over here, get my glasses. They're on the wrong side of the table. But hey, I was like, you know what? I haven't done this. I thought about it. Haven't done what I'm going to do tonight. So let's get it done. And so, yeah, here we go. And speaking of Tommy Summers, having him on a couple weeks ago, that was so much fun. That was outstanding. We could have gone a whole lot longer. We honestly could have, and I would have, but I really did. I don't even remember if I mentioned it, but I had an appointment that I had to get to, and I was actually an hour late getting to that appointment. And I hate being late. I hate it with a passion. Don't like being late to anything. And I felt so bad about it, but Tommy was so good. I couldn't stop. It was so good. And a lot of you are really taking in the you're taking in the episode on YouTube. A lot of you are taking it in on the streaming platform. So both audio and video are doing really well on it. So thank you to you guys for that. And again, keep telling your family and friends. All right. It's we just have a lot of fun here. There's good stuff happening, and just jump on board. All right. So look, without further ado, let's kind of just get right into this. As you can see, I got my Kiss t-shirt on, so we know it's going to be a Kiss related show tonight. I got these guys sitting right here on the table. I'll explain to you what that's all about as we move along. But tonight, I'm going to give you my ranking on the Kiss solo albums. Four 4 albums, of course, four albums. Let me get out of the way of my logo right there so you can see my fingers. Yeah, that's, you can't see them too well right there, right? That's better. 4. Okay, 4 albums, one by each member of the band: Gene, Paul, Peter, Ace. All right, and I've thought about this for a little while, and but never really pulled the trigger. And certainly, I've owned these 4 albums since they came out way back in 1978. So 4 albums, 4 solo albums, one by each member of Kiss. All released on the same day, September 18th, 1978. And I think it was at that time a real departure from the norm in the music business. And maybe it might have even been a first in music history, where you had the members of a band, each member of the band releasing a solo album, especially on the same day. And that part there was all calculated, releasing on the same day. At the time that this was going on, we didn't know it. I'm 13 years old at the time. So as fans, we didn't really know that there was some drama / dysfunction going on in the band. And they were at the height of their, Kiss mania, so to speak. I mean, they were at the height of it all, their popularity. They could get no bigger at this point, yet the cracks were starting to show. We just didn't really see them. And apparently, shortly after the Alive 2 album was released, just a year prior, that's when things started to bear themselves out, where, Ace's, maybe his substance problems, his partying, his partying ways, were kind of interfering with things. Peter, same issue, but then also Peter wanted to have more of a role in the band as far as more songs on albums, more say so, those types of things. So all that stuff was kind of beginning to bear itself out. And then, these guys, Peter and Ace, they were actually thinking of leaving the band, but Paul and Gene kind of reined him in a little bit. I'm sure Bill Aucoin, their manager, had something to say about this as well. Kind of reined him in and said, "Hey, look, you guys, Peter, you want to go out on your own? You want to do a solo album? Ace, you want to do a solo? Great. Why don't you all do solo albums? Okay, all of you guys go take some time, record your solo albums. We will package them under the Kiss brand. You guys will dedicate them to each of the other members in the band, and boom, it'll all be in, part of the Kiss family." So doing that kind of appeased the guys. And so, pretty much after the Alive 2 tour was over, they got to work on it. And as fans, what we were used to at this time were 2 releases a year from our favorite band. And primarily 2 not 2 studio releases each year, because in 75 they had Dress to Kill and then they had Alive. And then in 77 they had Love Gun and Alive 2. But we were getting 2 releases a year. 78 was no different. It was just the same, except the first release of the year was a greatest hits package. That was double platinum. Now, whatever, it is what it is. And I know for me, anything that said Kiss on it, I was happy to get, but I already had all these songs. Okay. Certainly, I think there was some of them that were kind of remixed a little bit. there was the new mix of Strutter 78. Almost the drum beat was kind of like disco-esque. But nothing new. I already had all these songs. I wanted something else. But it kind of tied us over. It appeased the fan base until later on that year. Let me do this. Hang on a second, people at home. There we go. And it kind of kept us somewhat satisfied until September 78. And that was when the solo albums were released. So we went into why the solo albums. I can say, and I'm sure all of us Kiss fans were just like stoked because now we weren't going to get one album with, basically 10 songs on it. We were going to get 4 albums with 10 songs on them. That's the thinking. I'm going to get 4 times my Kiss, my dose of Kiss, I suppose. So I remember being jacked up, and I think, trying to think back to when the albums came out, which one I got first. Gene at that time, early in my Kiss fandom, Gene was my favorite member of the band. And so I probably got his album first. My younger brother, his favorite member of the band was Ace. So I didn't have to worry about getting Ace's album because I knew he was going to get it. So I probably, like I said, I'm sure I got Gene's first, then Paul right after that. My brother got Ace, so I could listen to that as well. So it was almost like having it. And then I know Peter was the last one that I got. Just stoked to have those albums and listen to them over and over and over. So without getting into too much other stuff, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rank the 4 albums, my favorite to my least favorite. And we'll just kind of go over some things with each of the albums. And look, you guys can comment on this. Give me your rankings, your favorite songs, your least favorite songs, things you remember about these albums, whatever it might be. You guys get in on it as well. God, I'm kind of tongue-tied, right? So yeah, let's do it. Let's have some fun. All right. So of course, I'm going to get started. Again, when these albums were released, they all shipped platinum, which means they all were, each album was sent 1 million copies out to the various, record stores and outlets that were selling them. Now, they each have sold 1 million plus copies, but back in 78, they hadn't done that. They shipped platinum so that the band could say, hey, we got 4 platinum albums all in one shot. But within a couple of months, the record company started to see some returns on the albums, on the various albums. So where it was just a kind of a little gimmick to get 4 platinum albums all at once, it really didn't go like that. And it probably took just from memory and things that I've read, it probably took close to a year for each one of them to actually sell 1 million copies. But still my favorite, still my favorite band, still my guys. I didn't care. I just wanted to hear the music. So let's get right into it then, since we're talking about music and we're talking about our favorite band, Kiss. Oh, wait a second. Before we do that, I want to, you guys see what I have right here on the front of the table? You can't if you're listening, but I'll do my best to describe it to you. I've got Kiss Beanie Babies right here. Now, I didn't go out and buy these. These were gifted to me from a good friend of mine, Mark Roth. He sends me a text message one day and he says, hey, are you home? Yeah, I'm home. He says, all right, I'm close by. I'm in the neighborhood. I'll be right over. And shows up at the door and he's got a bag of Kiss Beanie Babies. He says, I was cleaning some stuff out, and I saw these and you were the first person I thought of. So I thought I'd bring them by, give them to you. And I thought, oh, right on. Cool. So how perfect is this? Because they've been sitting here in the studio for a few months and I keep forgetting to break them out and show everybody and give Mark the credit that he so rightfully deserves. But come on, I'm talking about the solo albums tonight, and I've got each member of the band right here sitting on the table. Let's see, from my right to left, and if you're watching, it's going to be from your left to right. Got Ace right here. We got Peter, Gene, and Polly. People. Okay, I'll stop. Yeah, so I just thought, oh, all right, I'm talking about the solo albums. Got one of each guy right here. Good to go. All right, so as I said, I'm going to rank these, but right before I do that, before I give you my ranking from my least favorite to my favorite, I'll just run over some stats or some fun facts real fast. And by the way, I'm getting these out of this book right here. If you don't have it, grab it. If you can. I'm sure it's not even in print anymore. But this is called Gene, Ace, Peter, and Paul. This book is all about the 78 solo albums. It's written by Julian Gill. I know he does another Kiss podcast. That's, way bigger than this podcast. But yeah, so I bought this book when it had come out a few years back. I don't know, this is probably like 8-9 years ago. And it was really good. It's, oh my gosh, and look at how thick this book is. This thing's got to be like 400 pages. It's got all kinds of cool stuff in here, and just interviews with like everybody involved with the album. I'm trying to get to some page numbers here. It's over 500 pages, 530 something pages. Crazy stuff here. Okay, so we'll just go. Excuse me. We'll just go through these fun facts real quick, and then get right down to it. So Gene Simmons had the largest number of guest performers on his solo album. We're going to get into that. Ace Frehley used the fewest number of performers on his album. Ace Frehley's solo album has sold the most copies in the post-1991 SoundScan era. So to me, that says since 1991, Aces has sold the best. Peter Criss's solo album debuted highest on the Billboard Top 200 album chart at 85, followed by Ace's at 87, Gene's at 88, and Paul's at 89. Gene Simmons' solo album surged the greatest number of places on the Billboard Top 200 chart in its second week of charting, moving up 32 places. Peter's surged the fewest, just 8 places, and Paul and Ace's both moved up 22 spots. Gene's solo album charted the highest on the Billboard Top 200, eventually reaching number 22. It gives the date for this, but for these little things, but that's not significant right now. Peter's solo album reached its highest placing on the Billboard Top 200 chart in its 7th week. That was at number 43. Ace's solo album charted for the most number of weeks, 23, reaching number 26. Gene's was right behind him with 22 weeks. Paul's album charted for the fewest number of weeks at 18, only reaching number 40, which is just some of this stuff. When you go back and you and I read this, it's like shocking some of this stuff. Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't have pictured Paul's being the one that was on the chart the shortest amount of time, and then also the lowest of the four in charting position on the top 200 album chart. Weird. Ace's New York Groove was was the only legitimate hit single from the solo albums, reaching number 13 on the Billboard Hot 100 singles chart. And that's a fact. Aces was the only song that charted on the top 40. Boom, 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 boom. Not just the highest, the only one that hit the top 40. Peter Criss's was the only solo album supported by 2 single releases. Neither charted. That's true. He did release 2 singles off that. Paul Stanley's Hold Me, Touch Me didn't quite make the top 40 in the US, but it did linger in the charts for 12 weeks. And only Ace Frehley's and Gene Simmons solo singles were performed live by Kiss during the Dynasty tour. Now, that one is incorrect. I'm going to dispute that one because I did see Kiss on the Dynasty tour, November 7th, 1979. Let me put this book right over here because I think I'm done with it. On the Dynasty tour at the Forum, November 7th, 1979. I've talked about it a little bit on the show before, once or twice. It's my first concert ever. It's not my first concert ever. It's my first rock concert. In my first concert ever, I saw Olivia Newton-John at Knott's Berry Farm when she was still a country artist. So I have another book here which backs up. However, I never noticed in reading this book that there is, just like with the first book here, the solos, there's an inaccuracy. In this book here, which is a lot of you geeks like me, you know this one, Kiss Alive and Forever. It's a complete touring history of the band from inception until I think it goes through. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. I think it goes through the what do you call it? Farewell tour. I think that's what it does. Yeah. Okay. So it's got stats on every single show that the band performed. And there's one, I was checking this out. It's got set lists and all that kind of stuff. So I was checking this out, and the set list for my show reads as follows. And a lot of it I didn't remember. However, I did remember what songs from the 4 solo albums were performed. And there's one missing here. So you have Julian Gill in his facts stating that New York Groove and it said songs from Ace and Gene's solo albums were performed. Well, the single from Ace's was New York Groove. The single from Gene's was Radioactive. Okay. So he's stating that those songs were performed live on the Dynasty tour. However, there was one song from Paul Stanley's solo album that was performed on the Dynasty tour. Now, I think it may have come and gone out of the set list because I know Radioactive did, but Radioactive was performed at my show, and so was Move On, which is right here in the set list. However, I was looking through it, and nowhere on here is Radioactive listed in the set list. And I do recall that Radioactive was played very early on. So, and from my memory, I thought that right after Radioactive, that's when Paul went in to Move On, that those 2 songs were played back to back. So, I've got to get with Kurt Gooch and Jeff Suss and let them know that there's a mistake here, like 20 years after this book came out. And make them correct it. But Yeah, Peter was the only one that didn't perform a song from his solo album the night that I saw them. If I remember going through this tour in the book, that there was a few times when Peter did sing. I think he did "Tossin' and Turnin'" from his solo album. So just a couple of fun things. Whatever, right? Right? Whatever. All right, so let's get down to business here. Okay, so we'll start with least favorite. And I was listening to some of this stuff today, and initially my ranking was a little different, but after doing some listening and putting stuff together, and I kind of like changed my opinion. I was like, well, you know what? Maybe, maybe my initial ranking is not. No, I got to change it up. So I've changed a couple of things actually since I even wrote the show. So here we go in the number 4 position, and let me get my tail of the tape here, I suppose. In the number 4 position, and let me tell you this: I enjoy all 4 of these albums. So it's not like, oh, I hate this one and this one's just superior. Like with all the rankings that I do, whatever band it is, I like it all. It's just a matter of what I like the least to what I like the best. All right. So in the number 4 position, it's this one right here, Peter Criss. And I'm try to get I'm showing the CD cover. The cover of the CD here. And for whatever reason, this is the only one I don't have on vinyl. Now, years and years ago, I used to have them all on vinyl. And I've mentioned it. I won't get into the details, but at one point I sold nearly every piece of vinyl that I had. And that included the solo albums. But I thought that a few years back, when I was just on a whim, I would go on eBay and I would buy a couple Kiss albums here and there. I was trying to get my collection back. And there's specific things that I would look for before I would pull the trigger on buying anything. But I thought that I had purchased the Peter one, and I haven't. So eBay, here I come. So the running time on this will give you the tail of the tape. The running time on this is 34 minutes and 39 seconds. The track listing is 10 songs. It's let's see, what would be on vinyl. Side 1, I'm Gonna Love You, You Matter to Me, Tossin' and Turnin'. Now, I think You Matter to Me and Tossin' and Turnin' were the 2 singles that were released from this album. Don't You Let Me Down, That's the Kind of Sugar Papa Likes, Easy Thing, Rock Me Baby, Kiss the Girl Goodbye, Hooked on Rock and Roll, and I Can't Stop the Rain. I remember when I got this album and I dropped the needle on it. Remember, I'm 13 years old, and I started thinking, what in the world is this? This is not Kiss. Not even close. It's every song on the album reminded me, okay, instead of, let's put it this way, instead of reminding me of songs like Get Away or Strange Ways, something like Baby Driver, all the songs were reminding me of Beth, Hard Luck Woman. And I didn't get it. This is like so far removed from Kiss and what I was used to. So like I said, I didn't get it. I didn't listen to it that much. I was very disappointed in it. And again, this is back in 1978. We didn't, as Kiss fans, we only read what we read in the rock magazines, Cream, Hit Parade, or Circus, so on and so on. And we didn't realize that Peter had a way different background than the other members of Kiss. Came from a completely different background, didn't play in any hard rock bands, came from that jazz, swing, soul background. And that's what he was bringing to the table in his album. And also, we didn't understand each of these solo albums were going to be a representation of that member's personality, their love of music, what their influences were. So, but we didn't get it. It said Kiss on it. It said, whatever member it was. And we wanted to hear the same stuff we'd been hearing for the previous, 5 years. So that was my initial reaction. But when I stop and as I've gotten older, I realize what Peter was doing. He was bringing that 50s, 60s rock sound, a little bit of soul, R&B, jazz, and I get it. And it's when I realize that, not only do I get it, not only do I understand it, I appreciate it and I enjoy it. And I think it's a terrific album. And Peter, I've always liked Peter's voice. Peter has a tremendous voice. And I mean, really, he might have the second best voice in the band. I don't know. He might. Great voice. But one good thing I don't want to show you, because when I get to the other ones, I'm going to do the same thing. But at least in the CD here, when you open up the cover, it's not really so much of a booklet, but remember in Kiss albums, once we hit Destroyer, you started to get tchotchkes, you started to get things in the albums. Or Kiss Army membership, order forms, memorabilia, order forms, posters, stuff like that. So when they re-released this, I think this is one of the remasters. They let us have the poster that came inside of it. That was part of the 4-part mural that I did hang on my wall, the wall in my bedroom. Put them all 4 together, and that's this one here with Peter. Yeah, good stuff. Liked it. It says right there in the corner, part 3 of 4-part Kiss mural. Okay. So my favorite song on this one, my favorite song, gosh, I don't know. I really just because they all have kind of a really cool groove, even though it's much more mellow. It's just a really cool groove. Probably I'm Gonna Love You might be my favorite. And I don't know that I have a least favorite on this one. I really don't, because I think that, like I said, that would be my favorite, and everything else would kind of like fall right in line, because it's just that good. I mean, you can just put this thing on and just listen, just kick back, listen, and thoroughly enjoy it. It's that good. It really, really is. So there you go. In the number 4 spot, that would be Peter Criss. All right. There you go on that one. Let's get a sip of water here. Okay, so next, in the number 3 spot, let me take it out of the plastic here. This one would be right here, Gene Simmons solo album. Now, set it down for a moment. Let me flip back over. So tail of the tape on Gene's solo album. It's 11 tracks. The running time on it is 33 minutes and 58 seconds. Or I'm sorry, 38 minutes and 58 seconds. And the tracks are as follows. The first track, Radioactive, that was the single that was released off the album. Burning Up with Fever. That's kind of a funky song. Donna Summer on background vocals. She's doing background vocals on that. And let's see You Tonight. Really, really good song. So good that they performed it on the Unplugged special. Tunnel of Love. Gene. He's got this thing with his different nicknames for the female anatomy, I suppose, the lower region anyway. True Confessions, that one, you know what? I'll go through the track list and then I'll explain more. True Confessions, then you flip it over to side 2. You've got Living in Sin. Then you've got a unique one, Always Near You, Nowhere to Hide, which is 2 incomplete songs that Gene had written that he had combined those 2 to make them one. Then Man of a Thousand Faces, that's his tribute to Lon Chaney. Mr. Make Believe. Then his cover of his own song, See You in Your Dreams, from the Rock and Roll Over album, which I know actually it was funny a couple weeks ago when Tommy was on, he said he did not like the cover version. And he was like, I don't know why Gene had to redo it. And to be honest, I don't know why he had to redo it either, but I know why I know why he did it. Because he wasn't happy with the version that came out on Rock and Roll Over. This one's a little more punchy, a little harder edged. There's some female singers in the background, that kind of stuff. So it's a little bit different, but he delivers a slightly different vocal performance, but other than that, it's the same. It's a little bit harder. It might be like a couple 3 seconds longer too, but that's about it. Oh, and then we finish up with When You Wish Upon a Star, the cover of the song from the Disney movie Pinocchio, and I think it's Jiminy Cricket sings that one. And so my initial reaction on this one when I got it was I dropped the needle and I heard Radioactive, and I heard that kind of that lead in, that build up, the little kind of sinister laughing voice, and then there's some other ghoulish voices in the background, and it's kind of building up, and it sounds like it's just gonna like kick in. And when it does, it's not as strong or heavy or punchy as as that buildup makes it sound like it's going to be. Radioactive is a cool song, and I'll tell you right now, I would say it's probably my favorite song on the album. But I needed it to be heavier than it is, or than it was when I put the needle on. But anything that said Kiss, I was going to enjoy. I was going to like. So I noticed the unevenness, and for those listening, I'm kind of going up and down, making a waving motion. I did notice the unevenness. You'd have more of a rocker, then you have a real mellow song, slow it down. You had some different stuff on both sides. When it comes to side 2, Living in Sin, I like it, but even at 13 years old, I still thought it was kind of a little bit corny, but I liked it. Like I said, it had the Kiss name on it. So everything was great. But I don't know. I'm thinking that maybe my my least favorite song on here might be it could be a toss up between like Tunnel of Love or Man of a Thousand Faces. A lot of people see or hear When You Wish Upon a Star and they're like, what are you thinking, Gene? I mean, really? Seriously? You're going to sing a Disney song? You know, this hard rock demon is going to sing a Disney song, please. But when you know the story, you understand why he did it and what the song means to him. And when he was growing up, when he first came to America with his mother, he could barely speak English, but he was into, comic book characters and cartoons and he was into Disney movies as well. And he saw Pinocchio. He heard the song When You Wish Upon a Star, and he started to pick up English, learning that song. So there's that meaning to it also. But then he also, you take the lyrics of that song and he applied it to his own life. When you wish upon a star, your dreams come true. Well, that was his focus moving forward. And certainly at that point, and now, 40 years later, oh my gosh, it's almost 50 years, 50 years later, all those dreams have come true. So that's the meaning of the song to him. Whoops, sorry. Gosh, one of these days I'm going to get away without knocking the microphone over. But that's what it means to him. And that's why he put it on this solo album. Again, these guys were expressing themselves, bringing you their influences, things that had special meaning to them, those types of things. Now, getting back to what I read in the fun facts, this special guest list is like a who's who of the music and entertainment industry. I mean, Bob Seger, Joe Perry, Helen Reddy. Yes, Helen Reddy, I Am Woman. She sings on True Confessions. Jeff Skunk Baxter, Donna Summer, as I mentioned. Janice Ian, she does the whole prelude on Radioactive. Rick Nielsen from Cheap Trick. Cher. Mitch Weissman and Joe Pecorino. Those guys were from Beatlemania, the traveling Beatles show. Michael DeBar, if you're not familiar with Michael DeBar was the lead singer in a band called Detective back in the mid to late 70s. And still busy to this day, done a lot of acting. Let's see. Richie Rano from the band Stars. And let's see. Also, the Azusa Citrus College Choir. Yeah, they are on True Confessions and Always Near You, Nowhere to Hide. So it really was. I mean, just a who's who list of people, and great. But that's kind of Gene's MO, really. If you fast forward to 2004 when he released his next solo album, A-Hole, that was also it's kind of the same thing. If you look at song credits, he's got co-writes with Frank Zappa, Bob Dylan, and seems like every Tom, Dick, and Harry is on the album. So that's just Gene's thing. He just brings in anybody and everybody to lend a hand. So I don't know. Like I said, that's kind of where it sits. And that's kind of my initial reaction. Both Peters, Peters, the critique on it by the press was it just was not Kiss-like. Gene's was a little more Kiss-like than Peter's, but not the Kiss that we're accustomed to. Again, because of that unevenness in it, I believe. But it was still given like 3 out of 5 stars. So, okay. Anyway, so that's where that one sits for me. That one sits at the number 3 spot. Next is this guy. Oh, wait a second. Hold on. I did it with the CD, so I've got to do it with this album. Yeah, especially because it's much, much larger. And I made sure when I bought this one that it contained all the good stuff. There it is. There it is. So here's the order form right here. Unfolds. Backside says for only $5 a year, you can join the Kiss Army. And then it tells you all the good stuff you get for $5. And then you get to order, if you like, your own Gene Simmons memorabilia, t-shirts, posters, pins, belt buckles, that type of stuff. Yeah, all Gene Simmons. So it's really, really, really cool. Oh, this is great here. And it was so expensive in 1978. Gene Simmons belt buckle features Gene Simmons printed in full color on foil background, coated with high gloss enamel. $6. Man. The 22 by 33 poster was $2.50. And when I was 13 years old, oh my gosh, it seemed like so much money. All right, so let's bust out the Gene portion of this mural. There we go. Yeah. Oh, good stuff. Let me get it. Oh, yeah. Pretty cool, huh? It's awesome when you're 13. It really is awesome when you're 13. I'm glad that because I did put them up on my bedroom wall all together. I'm glad that when I rebought these, they were not new, but they're in wonderful condition. That each of the posters doesn't have little pinholes or tacks in them from somebody else hanging them on their walls. So it's nice. They're a little more pristine than the ones that I had. All right. So number two in my ranking on the Kiss solo albums is this one right here. Yeah. Ace Frehley. A lot of people in the Kiss world, Kiss Army, will disagree. This one is a favorite of so many people, and you're not wrong because it's your opinion. But when this one dropped, everybody was like, yes, celebrating because at that point Ace had 2 lead vocals period up to that point, and that was Shock Me on Love Gun and Rocket Ride on side 4 of Alive 2. That was the only time we'd heard Ace sing. We didn't even know that he had this ability that he had. And when he was out on his own, stepped out, wrote an album's worth of songs. Actually, as I read in the fun facts, his guest list is like minimal compared to everyone else's albums. So this was like way more of a solo project than the other 4, if you want to look at it that way. But it's 9 tracks. Let me give you that rundown. 9 tracks. The running time on is 36 minutes and 44 seconds. And it, like I said, is pretty much what you would expect if you're a fan of Ace Frehley. Probably the most, I don't know if it's, I was going to say probably the most Kiss-like sounding album, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. Obviously it is very Kiss sounding, but I would say it's even more Ace sounding than it is Kiss sounding. But any of the songs on his solo album would fit right in with the later 70s stuff, Rock and Roll Over, Love Gun. Even if he had moved forward without the solo albums, Dynasty or Unmasked, that kind of thing. I think every single song on his solo album is better than any song he performed on Unmasked. Just hands down, hands down. So the track listing, what did I do with it? Oh, there it is. So the track listing, side 1, we've got Rip It Out, fabulous. Speeding Back to My Baby, Snowblind, Ozone, and What's on Your Mind. Then we flip it over to side 2. We've got the single, New York Groove, I'm in Need of Love, Wiped Out, and Fractured Mirror. Fractured Mirror, as if you don't already know, but because we may not have all Kiss fans watching or listening, but Fractured Mirror is an instrumental. I think it's like almost 5 minutes long. I don't recall, something like that. I from the first time I heard it, loved it. Loved it. It's just so good. And a couple weeks ago, I was listening to Kiss Alive, and I'm sorry, not Kiss Alive. I was listening to Dress to Kill. I was preparing for the celebration of the 50th anniversary of Dress to Kill. So I'm listening to it, and I was listening to Rock Bottom, and there's that big acoustical introduction to Rock Bottom. It probably goes like a minute 10, minute 20, because I think the song is like 4.5 minutes. And like I said, minute and a half of it's got to be that intro. And it is so good. But I was listening to it and I thought, wow, I can kind of see maybe where Fractured Mirror came from. Because I've listened to parts of that and I thought, Fractured Mirror, okay. I don't know if it was the tone, the tuning, whatever it was, but just so good. One is the intro to Rock Bottom, but Fractured Mirror is so good. But I would say that my favorite song on here is probably Ozone. And that's just been from like day one. It's just something about that song. And if you know that song, you know it. You get into there's kind of like a it's not a bridge, but it's kind of like a I don't know, kind of like a it's not a pre-chorus. It's almost like a post-chorus, I suppose, where oh, zone, and the tuning on the guitar is just so good. And I didn't realize it until years later. I just, you just start to pick up things as you become more involved in music and you listen a little bit closer to things. But you hear Ace's electric guitar in there and his lead and all that, but there's an acoustic guitar right behind it. And it's just such a great blend. And it just, I don't know, it's just a great song. Ozone's such a great song. And honestly, I don't know, least favorite song? Least favorite might be, maybe Wiped Out. I don't know. Wiped Out's a cool song though, but maybe Wiped Out. But I love it. It's just it's a great album. Great sound. Great production by Eddie Kramer. And yeah, just it's so good. So good. So I just, of course, like I did with Gene, I'll open up. There's the merch. There's the merch form. All the good Ace stuff. It's all the same on all the albums. Just everything's personalized for each guy. Let's open up The Ace poster. Oh, I'm looking at this one here. This one was just like mine. Somebody hung this one on the wall. All right, there's Ace. Come on, there's Ace. Yeah. All right. Good stuff. Let's see. Put all this away. And of course, I mean, I took out all the suspense. I mean, there's only 4 albums, right? So there really isn't much suspense as far as which one is going to be in the number 1 position. And so that one is right here as I take it out of the plastic. Paul Stanley solo album. And it's a great album. And it's what's funny is, like I was saying, buying the albums back on eBay a few years ago. I'm such a dummy. Not even keeping track of what I'm buying. I thought, like I said, I had the Peter album. And so I don't know how or why, but I had a brain cramp. I had already purchased the Paul album, but no, instead of buying a copy of Peter's album, I bought a second copy of Paul's album. So I have 2 really, really nice copies of Paul's solo album here on the shelf, and no Peter. I mean, and like I said, they're really, really nice, really in great shape. And just one of those things. I don't know what I was thinking. And I didn't realize it until, I get it in the mail, open it up. Oh yeah, Paul. And then I go and I put it with the other albums. Like, wait a second. There's already a Paul right here. What's the matter with me? So, like I said earlier, eBay, here I come. But so Tale of the Tape on Paul's album, it's 9 songs. Running time is 35 minutes and 10 seconds. And the track listing is side 1, Tonight You Belong to Me, Move On, Ain't Quite Right, Wouldn't You Like to Know Me, Take Me Away, Together as One. Then you flip it over to side 2, and you've got It's All Right, Hold Me, Touch Me, and in parentheses, Think of Me When We're Apart. And then you've got Love in Chains, and the album closes with Goodbye. Fitting song to close the album. Goodbye is a great song. It really, really is. Love the lyrics, the messaging in it. It's it is. It's a great song. Great way to close out the album. I was lucky enough to see Paul perform on his solo tour back in 2006 for the Live to Win album. And Goodbye was in the set list. So that was really, really cool. But so was Tonight You Belong to Me. Another great song. I think, let me see here. Let me see. What did he do that night? He did Tonight You Belong to Me, because I think he opened the show with that. And he did Goodbye. I think he did one more. I don't remember if he did. If he did It's All Right or Love in Chains. I don't know. I don't remember. I have to really, really do some research on that one. But he did like 3-4 songs off of this album. So good stuff. Certainly the guest list is not nearly as long, but he did have Bob Kulick do some guitar work on the album. Everybody knows Bob. Bob's been associated with Kiss for years. And then of course we all know Bruce, his brother, right? Let's see who. Carmine Appice. Carmine Appice did some drums. Let's see. I'm just kind of going through and finding the ones that really stand out that everybody knows. And then Pepe Castro. Now, some of you may not know Pepe Castro, but Pepe Castro was in a band with Bob Kulick in the early 80s. The band was called Balance. I think they had a couple albums they released, and they had one top 40 song for sure, maybe two, but I remember one for sure. That was about 81, I think it was. Yeah, so that's their connection. But you know, I don't know. My favorite song on the album is probably the opening track, "Tonight You Belong to Me." Very, very reminiscent of like Black Diamond or I Want You, where it's got that acoustical opening and introduction, and then it kicks in. You get your crunchy guitars, and you get your traditional great Paul Stanley vocal. Not as Probably not as heavy as Black Diamond, but in that same vein. So for those of you who are familiar, you know what I'm talking about. For those of you who aren't, check it out. And you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. If you listen to those three songs, you'll understand what I'm talking about when it comes to the song structure. But that's probably my favorite track. I do like "Take Me Away Together" as one. Just a dynamite song. "I Told You Goodbye," the closing track, fabulous. It's funny. "It's All Right." I think I may have mentioned this before. I'm not sure, but on "It's All Right," if you fast forward to the Asylum album, the song "All Night," there's a breakdown in that song in "All Night" that basically it's all right. I think and it's around the pre-chorus on "All Night." And if you listen to the guitars, and you listen to it's slowed down, but it's all right. And from the first time I heard that song, I'm like, wait a minute, where have I heard that before? Okay, oh yes, "It's All Right." I don't know, just another tidbit, another fun fact. Oh, wait a second, I didn't do this. Didn't do this right here. Let's get this. This is always the best part about Kiss albums. It always, well, I shouldn't say the best part, but as a kid, that's what you get. Come on out of there. There you go. It always is. It was always one of the things that got you fired up. Because you would get the album, you get to the record store. Sometimes you do it right outside the record store. I know outside Levels, I couldn't wait to get it home and get out the door, and it'd sit right in front of Levels on the sidewalk and open up the album. I remember opening up Alive 2 right there. But the great thing is you get the album, you rip open the cellophane on it, and then you just turn it sideways and just dump the stuff out. And you'd have your, Kiss memorabilia order form, whatever album it was at the time. There's your Paul stuff right there. And then let's get into our Paul poster. And if it was like Love Gun, man, there was no poster with Love Gun. Okay, so there's the Paul poster. Yep. Looks good. And it's in really good shape. It's really, really good shape. Especially for something that's like 45 years old or whatever it is. I think it's older than that, 42 years old. I don't know. Why do I want to do math right now? I don't. But like Love Gun, you open that thing up and you get the little Love Gun where you have to, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, kind of throw it down sort of, and it pops open and says bang, and until of course the paper rips on it and then you can't use it anymore. Or the solo albums, you're getting these order forms. I think with Love Gun you got an order form as well. The Alive 2, oh, that was the best, because you got the booklet, you got the merch form, and you got the tattoos. That was good stuff. So Frehley from, like I said, like Destroyer all the way through Unmasked. Those few years right there, that's when we started to get some good stuff, some merch, forms and posters and that kind of thing. Great stuff to look forward to. So the reception on Paul's album, just like, well, I don't even remember if I mentioned Aces, but like with Ace, it said that was the most Kiss like, and it was fabulous. Got great reviews. Paul's album got great reviews. So I think to the bulk of you Kiss Army geeks out there like me, it's probably going to be Ace or Paul at the number one spot. And I think because those albums are closest to what we would look forward to and listening to our favorite band, and each member of the band, that's what we would want from them. And then, it's going to be a toss up between Gene and Peter for number 3 or number 4. I think on the whole, that's what it is. Okay. Certainly it's not each and every one of you out there. And I think probably for the same reasons as I'm expressing to you, but just good stuff. And come on, do you really need a reason to talk about Kiss? I don't know. And it's so funny is they wrapped up touring back in December of 2023. So it's been a little over a year ago. And there's still so much to talk about in Kiss world. There's so much stuff. There's something always going on. And there's of course, this is not a Kiss podcast, but there's a bazillion Kiss podcasts out there. And they still have stuff to talk about all the time. There's a never ending amount of conversation to be had when it comes to this band. It's just something about them. Something about them. And as the guys, I think it was Paul, the one that said it. You know what? Love us or hate us, that's fine, but you're still talking about us. Now, I didn't quote him. That's more paraphrasing, but that's what he would say. You're still talking about us no matter what. And that's all they cared about. So anyway, so yeah, from bottom to top, we've got Peter, Gene, Ace, and Paul. All good stuff. That's just how I would rank them. But I enjoy each and every one of them for a different reason, I suppose. But it's great stuff. And yeah, there you go. Leave your ranking in the comments and give me some reasons why too. You agree, you disagree, whatever it is. That's what it's all about. Let's have some fun here. All right. So let's kick you loose. You guys can get on with the rest of your day, your evening, your weekend, whatever it might be. Go have yourselves a great time. All right. As you know, this program is available wherever you get your podcasts. Okay. It's on all the streaming services. Just search the Ben Maynard program. Boom, it's there. Subscribe to it. Okay. Please subscribe to it. Okay. I'm not asking you to subscribe because I'm going to make any kind of money. Honestly, I'm not. All right. I'm just not. It's the way it is. But anyway, subscribe to it. Okay. Because then you'll get notifications every single time a new episode is published. Okay. And then if you're watching on YouTube, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Appreciate you putting up with some of this right here. Okay. And, but you got to do me a favor. 3 things you have to do. Actually, really 4. First thing is you have to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Okay. Again, you'll get notified every time a new episode hits. Then secondly, you have to give me a thumbs up because the thumbs ups, the likes are tremendously important. I'm finding this stuff out. I'm an idiot. I don't know these things. I'm finding out this stuff. They're tremendously important. I get 200 views on an episode and like 4 likes. It's like, what? I to this day, and please don't do it. I don't want to jinx it. But to this day, 84 episodes in, not one thumbs down. Not one. So yes, thank you. But come on, an episode gets some views. You got to give me some more thumbs up. I mean, everybody that watches it, I don't care if you watch it for 5 minutes or the entirety of the episode, you got to give me a thumbs up. All right. It's just hitting the little thumb right there. So give me that thumbs up. And then you have to leave a comment. Okay. You got to do that. And then after you leave a comment, you got to tell 10,000 of your family and friends. You got to tell them, watch this cool guy. He's kind of an idiot, but he's still pretty cool. And he's halfway entertaining. So you got to tell 10,000 of your family and friends about the show. Okay. And they can watch it on YouTube. They can listen to it on their favorite streaming service. Either way, it doesn't matter. Just get it done. Okay. Come on. Help out a brother. All right. Last but not least, follow me on Instagram. Simply Ben Maynard Program, all one word. All right. All right. Enough. All right. Thanks again so much for being here. Everybody be good to yourselves and be good to each other. This is the Ben Maynard Program. Tell a friend.